a Talk Dodgers podcast.
What happens in Vegas?
Carr with time.
What happens in Vegas?
Open over the middle. It is
First down, touchdown, Super Bowl. Vegas Heat, Cincinnati Street, Reds 2-co.
Touchdown.
Carr to Waller.
Rushing touchdown.
He can't be stopped.
Josh Jacobs.
Jacobs with the rock. O-line hit the blocks. Offense off the chain. Defense is ready.
Oh, it's Henry.
Raider Nation, one goal, just one bait.
Caught for the touchdown.
What happens in Vegas? What happens in Vegas? What happens in Vegas?
Coach, in your career, have you ever been involved in a game like this before where it almost appeared like you had to win the game twice? Can you recall anything like this in your career?
I died and woke up and died again, and I was like a cat. I had multiple lives tonight. I don't like playing like that. It was tough, but again, we did a lot of really good things to win that football game tonight.
What a crazy game. You heard it from the man, John Gruden himself. The head coach said he felt like he died, came back to life, died again. This is what happens in Vegas, your Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Neil Maligno, and we are coming fresh off a week one major victory, and a unique victory. One that, man, that might go down as one of the best Monday Night Football games I've ever watched in my life. I can't recall one that was more drama-filled, exciting, big plays, shockers, twists. It was crazy. It was absolutely bananas. So early on in this game, we're looking like, the Raiders aren't looking so hot. Every single pass is going to Darren Waller. They're not really all being completed. Most of them were not completed at all. Early on, it was getting concerning. The only thing kind of leaving hope was that the defense, which, as we've mentioned before, has to be a top, middle of the pack type of defense for this team to win games. And they were doing pretty good against Lamar Jackson. He finished with 235 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 86 rushing yards. So a pretty good amount of rushing yards, what you expect from Lamar Jackson. The big thing, though, was he fumbled the ball 3 times. He only lost 2 of them, but he fumbled it 3 times. And some of those were in major situations, turning points of the game, to lead to the victory, and just to keep this game close and allow the Raiders opportunities to stay in it. When the Raiders went into the half, it was at that point, it was like, I couldn't believe it was only, 14-10. That gave me hope. So slow start. And maybe, we talked about early on, I said, hey, I'm happy with the Raiders not playing guys in preseason. I'm happy that the starters aren't playing. I'm okay with, them going into the season a little rusty and just not being injured. And it feels like that's what took place here. It feels like that's what took place and why this team maybe came out a little rusty, struggled early on, and they just stayed at it. And they kept with it, and it ended up playing out in their favor. The Raiders won 33-27. Again, no article, no podcast, no anything can do it justice. If you didn't watch that game live, even the highlights won't do it justice, because you had to be in the moment to understand what that felt like. If I was on Twitter live tweeting while the game was happening, I was just going through it. I went through every emotion during that game. The Raiders have a tendency to do this, but this time we came out with a W, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these this year. Not even doesn't have to give us all heart attacks, but just these kind of W's, man. We beat Lamar Jackson. That in itself is definitely something to hang its hat on. And one of the major factors in that is Darren Waller, who it felt like, and I was tweeting about it, was getting force-fed early. And this is the best player on the team, right? Like, who are we kidding? This is the best receiving offensive weapon on this team. And they asked John Gruden about it. Vic Tafer from The Athletic asked him about it. And this is what John Gruden had to say.
Last question, Vic.
Hey, John, Darren Waller, 19 targets. That can't be by design or something. What was your reaction to that?
We threw it 60 times probably,
Okay.
And if you threw it 60 times, you'd probably target him 29 times. I thought he mishandled a ball or two, uncharacteristically. He had a penalty called back, a big catch and run. He's the best player I've ever coached, so I'm going to continue to look for him. And sorry about that, Vic, but he's a hell of a player. He deserves some good looks.
That's big for John to say that about, Darren Waller. John has coached obviously a lot of amazing players, some Hall of Fame players, some real top of the line players in this league. So for him to say that about Darren Waller, I love it because we all know Darren Waller's story. He clearly is. I just said it a second ago. He's the best offensive weapon this team has. It's not even a question. He's one of my favorite Raiders of all time. So I was happy to hear John say that. And they even, talked to Darren Waller about it post game. And this is what Darren said in response to John Gruden's comments.
I mean, dang, that's crazy that he said that, first off. But I mean, yeah, it's been a great birthday. It's been a great birthday since I woke up this morning. Just woke up grateful. I got my family in town. Just to be part of the team, and then to have a game like this team-wise, to weather the roller coaster that was at the end of the game and just come out victorious, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Darren ain't lying. That was amazing. And don't get it twisted. I mean, when we look at the stat line, we look at the box score and we see exactly, who did what for the Raiders. Derek Carr had 435 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have the one unlucky interception in the end zone there where when that happened, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was over. So, he did well. And then we got Josh Jacobs, who is clearly injured. He's clearly hurt. He had 34 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 1 ball, 6 yards. So Jacobs had a lot of touchdowns. And for those who are, playing fantasy and stuff, obviously you're happy about that. But the injury is a little concerning. They did ask Josh about it. Post game, here's what he had to say.
Status coming into the game was literally they downgraded you to questionable because of an illness. How worried were you that you would be able to go today, and how did you feel today?
Hurting. I was hurting, but I mean, I had to beg them to play. Honestly, they didn't want me to go today, but yeah.
So I mean, obviously that feels a little concerning. I don't know if Josh is referring to his illness that they said he had on the injury report, or if they're talking about the toe. During the game, making plays, clearly he looked injured at times, and I don't even just mean like. I mean, the effort and everything was there. It wasn't, affect him in that way. But after each play, you could see when he was tackled or something, he would start cringing, or he would go to the sideline and look for some help from the trainers. So I don't know, man. I don't want them to keep forcing him out there if he can't play. Obviously, this was a big game, so I understand why he really, really wanted to be out there. But Kenyon Drake looked good. He looked serviceable when he was thrown into the game, when he was thrown into the mix. If I recall, he actually made that block too. That he blocked the defender on that last play to Zay Jones, which obviously afforded Derek Carr some extra time. So he looked good overall. He only had 6 carries for 11 yards, but he had almost 60 receiving yards on 5 catches. He looked good. He looked good when he had the opportunity. Obviously, they didn't get to run the ball as much as they would have liked because they were behind the game a lot. It was just starting off really slow. Like I said, they were forcing the ball to Waller early, looking to make something happen, and it just wasn't coming together. And because they were playing from behind, the rushing attempts as a whole, Josh Jacobs only carried the ball 10 times too. So there was just not a lot of work in that sense. I expect that'll change, obviously, in other games when the Raiders start with the lead. Or if they're, up 2 touchdowns, they'll start running the ball to waste the clock. I don't know if Jacobs is, we'll see how the injury affects him and whether he gets to play next week. If not, we signed Kenyon Drake for reasons like this, right? Josh Jacobs has had a history of not being injured like all the time, but he does have these, these things come up sometimes, and this is football, man. It happens to everybody. So Kenyon Drake is a nice, backup option to have. He may end up having to start some games here. We'll see. But seeing that he was catching the ball well, he was, looked fluid out there. Obviously, the team has some other running backs on the roster. Barber was active for the game. We don't know what Jalen Richard's status is, but Kenyon Drake's the guy here. He's the one that we're looking at to replace Jacobs if anything happens in terms of injuries. Marcus Mariota, shout out to Marcus Mariota for making an appearance in the game. It was early. It was just one play. They put him in there. He just ran with the ball instantly. He had over 30 yards on a rush. It's cool when they game plan him in like that. I hope to see it more. Not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be runs. It could be anything. That's what makes him versatile and a threat when they put him in the game. But I like when teams mix that kind of stuff in there. It doesn't bother me at all. I like to see Marcus, get some play. He looked like he got hurt on the play too, so hopefully he's all right. But yeah, I enjoy seeing, a team get creative and do stuff like that, especially if you have a backup quarterback who's talented and can make plays and can help the offense still. I like when teams mix them in. So shout out to Gruden, for mixing that package in. And hopefully we see more of it. Hopefully he gets to come in games and do other things. Not just that. Don't just throw him in there every single time to run the ball. Don't make it so obvious. But that was fun. It's always good to see Marcus, get a chance because he's one of those backup quarterbacks that I really would like to see have a chance to start in this league one day. I think that he deserves a second shot at that. So it was fun to see Marcus. Looking at the receivers, though, Darren Waller, we talked about it, 10 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. He was targeted 19 times, almost 20 targets for Darren Waller. That's insane. So, again, I'm a fantasy football guy. If you're playing fantasy football, dynasty football, DFS, whatever it is, Darren Waller did exactly what we expected. He's done exactly what, I anticipated he would do. The targets were insane. At that kind of, production level, you're looking at the number 1 tight end in football, man. That's what it is. That's all there is to it. Number 1 tight end in football. It's a beautiful thing. And again, that guy's story is amazing. It just makes it that much more sweeter. Hunter Renfrow, 6 catches for 70 yards. He was doing damage out there. I already talked about Kenyon Drake. Henry Ruggs got in on some action, 2 catches for 46 yards. I still want to see Henry Ruggs have a big game, man. Like, put something together, like score some touchdowns. He had a big catch out there on one play, so it was good to see. I think the team was just still trying to get themselves together. These guys haven't played all preseason, so I think they're starting to heat up, and you see that also in Bryan Edwards, who had 4 catches for 81 yards. Again, another guy, you're like, all game, you're thinking, where's Bryan Edwards? Where's Henry Ruggs? And they started to come on late. And Bryan Edwards made plays, huge monster plays at the end of the game when they matter most. So, shit, if you're going to sit out the whole game and just make, gigantic plays at the end of the game, I'll take that. I'll take it. But, again, great to see. Great to see Bryan Edwards get involved, Henry Ruggs get involved. Zay Jones, the man of the hour. The man of the hour. Again, the thing about the Raiders wide receivers and a lot of players on this team is they're so easy to root for. Zay Jones, again, you heard Derek, gushing about him after the game. He's just a fun guy, an awesome player. He works hard. You can tell he's a good dude. And you just want to see him win, so for him to be the guy who catch that ball was really, really, a fun experience, that he's the guy on the other end of that play. Sure, it'd have been cool if it was like Bryan Edwards or, Ruggs. It'd be kind of, something that validates the Raiders and their draft picks. But Zay Jones, man, it's a good feeling, to see him be the guy who makes that play. And Derek also chimed in on, how this game went and that moment.
Derek, can you just go through mentally, what is it like? You guys are celebrating. You think you win the game.
Yeah.
And then mentally, as a professional, how are you able to block that out? Okay, we got 1st and goal at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Mentally, how are you able to go back out there and focus?
What's funny is I said after ESPN after the game, I was like, it feels like my career is just, it's like, yes, crap. I was like, gosh, dang. But we won the game, man. And it feels so good.
Derek obviously having fun with the reporters there about, his career going up and down, success, failure, the team success, all that kind of stuff. So he's just saying, again, this was a good team win, man. Overall, like, the spirits have to be high. The team's confidence has to be at an all-time high. You come off a game, Monday Night Football, in front of the hometown crowd, and you beat a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, and you overcome it, through offense, defense, a little bit of everything, and that's what makes it special, is that you don't feel like last year where when the team won, you're like, man, the offense kind of did everything. The defense really put them in a bad spot or really struggled. The offense had to put up 40 points just to win a game. So this was a good overall win, and Derek continued to, kind of have fun with the reporters on that note.
Derek, you talk about telling a story. This game had both redemption and reward. How personally satisfying is that?
Yeah, I mean, we won. Yeah, we should add that to my career winnings. Josh, probably add that one tonight. That one will help. I was just waiting for Josh to say something. I was kidding. I love you, man. I hope you know that. I enjoy it. You're just so negative, but I love you. But it just feels good to win. That's all we want to do. That's all I want to do. I kid you not. I don't play this game for anything else. My family's taken care of. I don't care to be famous. Don't care about any of that. I just want to win football games and win a Super Bowl. We started with 1-0. That's awesome. We know here we need to finish the late season better, so we just need to trust our process on a short week against Pittsburgh too.
Again, man, you just gotta love that energy. Like, it just feels really good. As a Raider fan, for this team, for the players, like, it just feels really good to see them in this kind of place. Now, we've been talking about the offense. I mean, we've been talking about John Gruden, but let's not ignore that the defense played a major factor in this game. Gus Bradley looks like he's got this team dialed in, and and what we've been looking for. And of course, the players are better. The guys are just developing at a good rate, it feels like. But because Bradley built something here, he built a good squad. It definitely seems like he knew what he wanted, man. Like it seemed to come together, for sure. Some of the notable things. I mean, obviously Yannick, Ngakoue and Crosby just crushed it. They just lit it up. They just literally from the first snap to the end. Ngakoue was hurt at the end of the game, but Crosby was just insane, man. It was just insane. And again, similar to Waller, like his story with stop drinking and all this kind of stuff. Like it's a good feel good story. He was a decent player before all this happened. Like he was a fan favorite for me. But this is very obvious that like him correcting his lifestyle, and it's like he's a man on fire right now. He went absolutely insane. Even when Ngakoue went out of the game, he continued to just go crazy off that line. So he did well overall. I mean, there wasn't any other besides all the fumbles. All the fumbles that they caused. There wasn't any interceptions. There was Max's sacks, and then Max's sacks, the 2 sacks that Max had on the quarterback, and Carl had a sack also, which caused a fumble, which was the play that basically won the game, helped us win the game. So it was a great on defense. Quentin Jefferson made some plays. Darius made some plays. Everyone can recall the tackle by KJ, right? It might have been his only tackle of the game, to be honest with you, but it was a beautiful play. It's such a pivotal moment. Perriman, Littleton, they were in there making things happen. Abram, did good. It's nice to see him not just throwing his body around and getting injured, causing penalties. So this was like a really overall good game from the defense. It was real solid enough. I know it's 27 points, but they really did good. If you watch the game, they did pretty well. They had their mistakes here and things that, I'm sure they would want back at this point, but overall they really, had a really good game. And of course, Max was asked after the game about how this felt. That's what he had to say.
Max, this was your first football game ever being a team captain. Do you take any pride in your performance tonight, just in terms of your leadership and your intensity you brought to the defense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this team and I love this organization. So for me, having a fan base there going crazy, like, I've always taken it very serious. But being a captain, it's even, it's a whole nother level. So I never want to let my teammates down. They look to me, for an example of somebody who works hard and shows up and makes plays and does everything they have to do to win. So that's what I'm going to do every single day. And I've been doing that. And, I'm just going to continue to, keep going.
You got to love every Raider that you hear speak, how much they love the organization, how much they love this team, how much they're putting it all on the line for each other, their family. These are the common things you keep hearing these guys say. I believe it all. And now the team is confident on top of that. They got coaches. They bought into the system. This team is on the upswing. When you beat a Lamar Jackson, it's not an accident. They just got to keep building these wins on top of each other and stacking them on top of, being the most dominant player on the defense today and being a captain for this team. They also asked him about Carl and his, being the first openly gay player in the NFL. And this is what Max had to say.
Max, obviously, Carl was in the news a lot, this offseason with coming out and that whole thing. To have him make the play at the end of the game, just how much does that mean? How much do you guys rallied around him? And how much do you think that means to him?
Yeah, it was awesome. Carl, he works super hard, and you see that. It's the biggest play of the game. He comes down and gets a strip sack. That's what we talk about all the time. So we're super proud of him. Carl's a baller, and I'm proud of the guy.
The fans are proud of him too, man. Raider Nation, has embraced Carl, and so has the team, and it's been awesome to see. The league in general, society, everybody. So something that you once upon a time thought wouldn't be possible is possible, and it's a beautiful thing. So all right. So overall, Raiders win 33-27. They beat the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. The offense plays well, slow start, but at the end of the day, it came together and they scored enough points to win a game. The defense played well. I want to say from beginning to end. I mean, they were at least on fire out there, not making things easy. Lamar was, pressured all game long. Obviously, Lamar is going to get what Lamar gets, man. Like, you're not going to stop, a special talented player all game long. But when you're able to limit him, I know it's, again, I go back to this. I know it's 27 points, and you don't want to give up 27 points every week. But this is the NFL, man. The offenses are crazy. To give up 27 points, you almost feel great about it, to be honest. Tell your offense, hey, listen, we need you guys to score 30 every game. We're gonna hold them to under 30, but we're gonna need you to score 30. But overall, man, for real, fun game. I mean, fun is not the just word for it. Up and down, roller coaster. But at the end, as a Raider fan, the W is what we care about. And that's what we got. Next week, we play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will have a guest on with me to talk about the game, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That we'll discuss we'll discuss it pregame. I don't know if we'll have them postgame because after the Raiders get a W, they don't want to show up. But we'll definitely chop it up and go from there. But throughout the week, we'll have the pregame episode, maybe some other episodes coming as well. Don't forget, hit subscribe, leave us a review, let us know you're enjoying the podcast. 5-star reviews are super helpful, to let others know about the show. Raiders W, it feels good. Remember, as always, what happens in Vegas is Raiders football.
This is the Clock Dodgers Podcast.